The bait of the day, a Mepps Aglia number 4 in a marabou. We're going to talk about this bait. You ready to run a gun? It's time for blast off. Let's go. Hey guys, Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. Mepps Aglia. This is a bad little inline spinner right here, and this is probably my favorite inline spinner because these don't twist your line hardly as bad. Actually, I've never really had much of a line twist issue with the Mepps Aglia. And what I like to use is the marabou. I prefer the marabou because it has more flutter than the bucktail. Not that there's anything wrong with the bucktail. I just like the marabou better. And one trick I do with these guys is they come with a red feather. I cut that out because the red bleeds. It'll turn this marabou pink. So I always cut that off. Actually, I cut it off on all of my Aglias because I just don't want that red bleeding into that. And I don't think you need it, to be honest with you. I use a number 4, which is roughly about a 3/8, and I have 3 different models that I use. I use white with a silver blade. I use the brown with a gold blade, and then I use the Fire Tiger chartreuse. These are my 3 colors that I use. Again, like I said, they're all number 4. They're all 3/8 ounce. And water clarity wise, you're probably thinking, oh, he's using the Fire Tiger for muddy water. Well, I don't throw this in muddy water. This is not a muddy water type of deal because remember, bass are going to be in cover when the water's muddy. So this is not the best kind of bait you want to throw in a brush pile trying to get out of there. This is more of an open water type bait, maybe around grass. And overall, day in and day out, that's going to be my color right there. White with a silver blade. You got a bright day, that's a good one to have. If you have a cloudy day with some rain, then the brown, to me, works the best. And you're probably thinking, why not black? Well, they don't offer black with a gold blade. So that's the only reason I use brown. It's a dark color. It's something they can see. And brown to me is just kind of a natural. It's like an insect maybe or something like that. Or larva or something. So I use brown with a gold blade when you got cloudy days, rainy days, stuff like that. The Fire Tiger I'll use in slightly stained water. We'll say 2 to 3 foot of visibility. Or you can also use this in the river for smallmouth. So that's why I use the chartreuse and Fire Tiger. Now, as far as your combos, since these are 3/8, I basically use these on a bait caster. On a casting rod, 12, 14 pound test. You could throw it on a spinning rod, but I would suggest a medium to a medium heavy action and about 10 pound test. Because what's going to happen is if you use too light of a line, we're using a 3/8, you're going to have some light line issues with that. So you definitely don't want that. So I basically have this for a bait caster. As far as technique, don't burn these things. You don't want to burn an Aglia just under the surface because what happens when that bass comes to get this thing, he's pushing the bait with the water. So if you get it too close to the surface, it's where the water's just a little thinner, he can blow this thing right out of the water. So I normally don't fish this thing in, let's say, shallower than a foot. But mostly, when it comes to an Aglia, I throw this much like, say, Jimmy Houston throws a spinnerbait. I throw it just almost out of sight. So that just depends on the water clarity. And this is a shallow water technique, so you're looking at river systems. If you're fishing reservoirs or ponds, I wouldn't fish anything, let's say, deeper than 10 foot. Because water clarity, if it's really clear, crystal clear water, and you're throwing it just out of sight, you might have to keep it down 4 or 5 feet. So keep that in mind. This is a very simple, kids can use it. It's a very simple way to fish. There's really no thought or remedy to it. One of the advantages I do like about the marabou is I can twitch that bait as I'm retrieving it. It makes that marabou flare. But vary your retrieve speeds on these things. They might want it slow. They might want it fast. They might want it twitched or even killed. Like, you know, crank it and kill it for like half a second. Bring it back, it makes this thing fall, and it'll start going again. Vary your retrieve speeds. Vary your techniques on retrieving these things. They're easy to fish, and they're very, very effective. Like I said, when you get the marabous, just make sure you cut off the red feather on that thing, as I've done on all these, just so that it doesn't bleed and turn everything pink or red or anything. I've got a couple of these that actually turned pink, and that might actually be a cool color, but yeah, I didn't care for that too much, so I made sure I cut it out so it's not on there. But the Mepps Aglia, like I said, this is a size 4. There is a size 5, which is more of a ½ ounce. I kind of go with more of the 4. This to me just seems to be easier to control and fits my style of fishing. That's the important thing, my style of fishing. Your style might be you fish the river a whole lot. Well, if you fish the river a lot, let's say you throw a spinning rod all the time, you might go in with a number 3 or maybe even a number 2. But I use that in the river too, but I'll throw on a casting rod. I wouldn't think twice using that in the river. So I hope this helps you out a little bit, and hope you learn a little bit about throwing a Mepps Aglia. Like I said, I love these because there's very limited line twist whatsoever. Other ones do tend to twist your line. I know some of you guys probably like the rooster tails. Rooster tails are great in line spinner. But just remember, it is going to twist your line pretty good, and so will Panther Martins. But Panther Martin's also a great inline spinner. But the Aglia, to me, is the king of all of them. I've caught so many fish off these things, it's ridiculous. So until next time, remember, new techniques are trendy, but past never change. May the Father bless you and keep you in Yeshua's name, and as always, fish on.